All right, what we were saying was it does have a measuring tool that can be useful for long lays or pre-plans, that type of stuff. So we pulled up a couple, known longer lays for us. One thing too, I should point out that can help us out with some of this is if it were something that maybe you needed to go to the building beside a building or something like that, and you weren't sure what the address is, you can actually hover over the numbers here, and it'll pull up the actual street address. If it's something that maybe it's behind, you need to get behind something or around something. Just an easy way to kind of find that. But for example, let's say we were going to, the barns here on Landis Court, and maybe we needed to figure out how long we're going to have to lay into this thing. If we hit the measure tool, that's going to bring up a different icon that, let's say the hydrant's here at the corner. We click there the first time, we can go straight down the road. If you need to change directions, you click again, and then we can actually take it at least to a guesstimate there to the barn. And it's saying that altogether it's 1,500 feet, give or take, from the corner of Union and Landis back to that barn. And it's pretty accurate, and again, that helps us with some pre-plans. Even if it's something that you need to measure or get a guesstimate of how big Hare Arena is, how long, how wide, it'll give you some good information as far as that goes. Some of the other ones, as far as the buttons, I think we've covered about everything on this screen. Back to that search screen again, you kind of have, you can touch obviously with the touch screen type. You can type on your keyboard to get it. From here, you also have your last 5 over here on the right. That again, that takes you to your last 5 that you looked up. We can go address or street name, which we've seen a couple times. We can do intersection, and you type in 1, and the intersection, if you type in 1 street, that's a required one, and it'll give you a lot of times any of the cross streets. So if we're looking at Trotwood Boulevard, let's say, it'll give us all the crosses along Trotwood. And that's a fairly quick way to find an intersection if you aren't familiar with it. The last one, as far as the search to talk about, is common name. And the thing you got to understand with common name is that it's common name based on the files that we've uploaded. And what we've kind of came to the decision of is we're going to use common name on businesses that we are confident is going to stay the same name. So, for example, and Home Depot's not loaded in here, but if when we pre-plan Home Depot, you'll be able to go to common name, type in home, and it'll pull up Home Depot. Or, for example, just to show you what it looks like, if we type in fire, we have Fire Station 72, Fire Station 73. If we want, like, Hare Arena is one. Hare, we type in, I lied. Oh, I guess that helps if I hit common name. Oh. Back to common name. So, back to common name, there's Hare Arena. One thing I want to show too, just so you can kind of see what it'll look like when it's all said and done. So if we go to Station 72, there's a few more things that we can add in as we do this. So if you notice, this has a little bit more on this screen. We have our target maps that pops up. Up here in the yellow box, that's going to be whatever the common name is that we've entered on it. You also notice at the bottom there's a red information icon. That's where we're going to put that vital, need to know right now information. If it's something that there's a known hazard to this place, big angry dog in the backyard, whatever, big guard dog or whatever. Like here we put the FTCs on the D side of the building. Maybe it's a hoarder house. All of those things that we were sending into RDC to have CAD alerts, we can still do, but we can also add it to this as well. So as you look up an address, it'll show you any information that we may need to have. The other thing with this, if you notice, we have target maps, and there's also another box that says more beside it, which we didn't have like on Hare Arena. What that does for us is when we hit target maps the first time, this is just one of the samples that comes loaded with the software. It brings us to this pre-plan that we have, or whatever document that we may have. If I hit more, it's going to take me to another screen. So, the guy demoed it. He said, this is Station 72. It can show us, if we hit target maps now, it shows us another document. So maybe if we did pictures or some other document, ideally it'll all be loaded as one file. But for some of the bigger complexes, what we can actually do is we could have Maria Joe floor 1 and have its layout, floor 2 and have its layout in 2 separate files. So you could literally toggle through and see what floor that you need to look at that we're having the event on. So that gives us some of that information as well. One of the other ones would be, as far as the complex books, this takes the place of a lot of some of the information that we may have needed. So for an example, give me like an apartment that has an apartment name or apartment number.
Wingate.
Wingate, so what's an address for that?
I have no idea.
Do 101 as well.
Okay. So we see there's a 101 outer bell A, B, C, D. So this is where our complex directories were coming in very handy to kind of know where A is versus where D is. If we're going to, let's say, apartment B, obviously, again, we get that initial overview. If we go down to super, it actually labels out the apartments.
Oh, that's slick.
So if we're going to apartment, you know, there's our, I think we said B was what we were going to, so we know it's the one that faces this parking lot, whereas if we were going to D, it's on the backside. So it breaks a lot of those down to where before we were having to dig through that complex book to see a lot of this stuff if you weren't exactly sure